वहे तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहे। ओम शांति शांति शांति। May we be protected together, may we be nourished together, may we work together with great vigor. May our study or sharing today be enlightening. May no obstacles arise between us. Om, peace, peace, peace. Dhyanamoolam Guru Murti, Pujamoolam Guru Padam, Mantramoolam Guru Vakyam, Mokshamoolam Guru Kripa. Om Sri Guruve Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat krupatamaham bande paramananda madhavam. Om Sri Krishnaya Namaha. My humble prostrations at the divine lotus feet of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba and at the feet of Sri Rama Bhakt Anjaneya, that is Hanumanji. And my pranams to my two gurus. My first guru was Shivangini, who was my spouse also. And my later guru, after Shivangini left her body, my later guru came on, who Swami led me to her, is Swamini Viswatmananda Giri. She's no more either. She passed away about a year and a half, 2 years back. And my humble pranams to all of you who are listening. Today's topic is Karma, Dharma, and Sadhana that you see on the screen. Now, I'll first tell you how did we arrive at this topic, what triggered it. That's one. Second thing, I'll give you a very high-level overview of many topics today, because in order to understand what drove me to this topic, all the nuances of whatever is involved, it covers a lot of ground. So everybody need to pay attention. Going to be covering a lot of ground. But again, I will be giving a very high-level overview of it. It will talk about karma that leads to rebirths, what kind of karmas are there, and then it will also talk about dharma, what is dharma, and so on. There are a lot of misunderstandings, misnotions, which we'll try to dispel as much as we can today. And then it talks about what is sadhanas. When we say sadhana here, we're talking spiritual sadhana. Sadhana means effort, striving for something. Sadhana can be for worldly things also. And that we do, all of us do when we pursue our careers and all. But here we are speaking to spiritual sadhana. Okay, first and foremost, how did it come about? Now go next slide. Around 2000, that's about 23 years back, my spouse was going through a very rapid spiritual journey. That is Shivangini. I'll keep calling her Shivangini. Shivangini was going through a very rapid spiritual journey. And at that time, she was engaging in a lot of spiritual activities as directed by Swami, that is Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. She was following all those things at that time and doing a lot of seva too. He was making her do that one. While she was doing it, I was going along with her because it involved many things. We were doing Bal Vikas at home for the benefit of the children, local children. And we were taking them to summer camps. She was doing satsangs at home. Then she was conducting all the holy festivals at home for the benefit of the society, local society there. And all these festivals were very similar to whatever was celebrated in the Prashanti Nilayam and Puttaparthi by Swami. Okay. we were doing all that one. And also she was having a lot of experiences, and I was transcribing all her experiences into the computer. And then later on, that resulted in her first book called Inner Experiences. That also I went, did all the transcribing into the computer and everything else. And in all those activities while she's doing it, I was constantly with it, doing it, engaging it, decorating it, and even taking the summer camps. When we took the kids to summer camp, I would look after the boys and she would look after the girls. And they were being educated through human value system at that time. So I was going through all those things with her. It is important. That's the reason I'm telling you that. Okay. So we were engaged in all those things. In 2003, Swami said to Shivangini, more than one time, about 3 times, that she is a Jivan Mukta by then. Jivan Mukta means one who's liberated while still in body, while still living. That's called a Jivan Mukta. And he called her, she was a Jivan Mukta by then, three different times. This is 2003. In April, May of 2004, and Shivangini used to have this connection with Swami, which is 24/7. So she would relate those to me later, which I would put it into the book and so on. And in that April, May 2004, Swami talks to Shivangini, and he says, "Are you ready?" And Shivangini asked him, "Ready for what?" He said, "For higher journey." Then, being a good spouse that she was, she said, "What about him?" pointing to me. And Swami said, "He's not ready." Shivangini asked him, "Why not?" "He's doing all the activities I am doing," because I was participating in all those activities I just mentioned. So he says he's participating in all the activities I'm doing. Why not? Swami at that time uttered the words which I have transcribed into the slide, which you can see and read. And Swami said, "As long as body is given, it is Dharma. No matter who they are, they have an obligation to connect to God and not to go astray. Amount of sadhana he does is for maintenance and not a striving sadhak who has to do a lot more. If he goes astray, then he'll have to take 17 more lives." And of course, you can understand that lit a fire underneath me. But there are 3 key words he said. One he said is Dharma, other one is sadhana, third one he said is maintenance. And I had to understand that. What do they mean? Because whatever I was doing was not considered spiritual sadhana. It was considered more dharma. And whatever I was doing at that time is merely for maintenance and not more. So what is this maintenance? What is this sadhana? What is this dharma? They're these things. Shivangini left her body in 2005. This is 2004 conversation. And her spiritual quest was done by that time. And my spiritual quest just began. Okay. So I was, now the next thing which we had to go into is find out what it is and continue to do my spiritual sadhana and everything else. But I won't go into all those details. I'll come to what we are talking about, our topic today. First and foremost, we'll start with karma. Karma is understood and used very differently by a lot of people. Karma, people will call it something because something happened and they don't know why. They say it's my karma. And then if something bad happens, also they call it karma. Then they say when you're doing good thing, they'll say he'll doing good karma. When you do something bad, they call it bad karma. So we'll try to understand what karma is to start out with, so that all of us are on the same page. Whatever it is people are using it, karma is that, but it is all effects of karma, not the fundamentally what karma is. Karma, by definition, is nothing else but action. Nothing else but action. And with this action, there is always a result, a consequence attached to it. There is a reaction to it. And this result consequence is always attached to it. How are they attached to it? It's almost, they use the word avinabhava sambandha. What that means is it's like inseparable connection to it. You cannot separate the consequence or the result of an action. Of an action. Every action has it. And Hanumanji said in one of his messages, life starts with karma, sustains in karma, ends in karma. It is impossible not to do karma. So that's really it. Karma is an existential necessity. Without it is a life-sustaining thing. And it is also called that our human body is called karma bhumi also. The reason karma bhumi they call it is the field where activities occur, where karma occurs. When we have the body, we do karma. When we don't have the body, we don't. So that's what it talks about. So fundamentally, I want to make clear of what karma is. Now people talk about the good and the bad of the karma. This is this thing or that thing. Karma in itself is neither good nor bad. How so? It is like a knife. Knife has the quality of cutting, slicing things. And it's nature. Okay. And if you now, how do we use it? It depends on the individual. Either they can use it to perform a surgery to help somebody, or they can use it to kill somebody. Right? One is good, one is bad. But that has got nothing to do with karma. Its quality, what it does. When you use it, cutting is what it does. Good, bad is later on we assign it to it. So good, bad is within our realm of how whether it is favorable or unfavorable. Okay. Now, where does the karma occur? Karma occurs. Most of us tend to think that when we do the physical activity, that's karma, the rest is not. But no, that's not true. Spirituality says karma occurs at 3 levels. It occurs at the thought, at the word, at the action level. And we were talking about the resultant consequences. At the action level, it is a reaction. At a speech level, it's a resound. Whatever sound you made, it resounds back to you, sooner or later. And whatever thought you have, it reflects right back to you. You may have certain thought today, but that thought will reflect to you, either now or later, whenever that is. Okay. So there are 3 levels of that. We talked about the consequences and all that one. One thing I'll set clear here is consequences, when people talk about it, some have consequences that occur right away. Like you throw a ball against the wall, it bounces right back at you. You hit your head against the wall, pain comes right then. You cannot ask them to come tomorrow. They don't. And now if you extend it to the next step, if you take a seed or a plant seed or a vegetable seed or whatever and plant it in the ground, if you want it to sprout now, it won't. Some may take days, some may take weeks, some may take months. Then when you come to giant sequoia tree, when it goes to its full height, it takes lifetimes. So why are the others delayed? Other consequences and results are delayed because it always waits for right circumstances and situations for that particular result to manifest. For that reason, the delays occur in it. There are some results which come in this lifetime right now, some will not. And those that will not will come later, that will come to you as people start using it. This is my karma coming back to me. That's how we use the words. Okay. Now we'll talk a little bit about the karmas itself. Okay. There are karmas that we do which occur, actions. Whenever I say karma, think of it as action. Actions that occur, they occur without involving our mind. These are the auto functions which go on in us. They are called nitya karma. They are routine auto functions. Examples are like breathing process. We wake up, we sleep, we eat, we bathe. Doesn't require much mind's involvement in it. We do it like automatically, we go ahead and do those things. But then there are actions which involve mind, which involve a purpose, right, which involve driven by a desire, driven by a purpose, driven by a resolve that one has taken, and most of them take effort to do. Okay, so these are called naimittika karmas. Today we'll be speaking mostly on this naimittika karma, which means the karmas which are using the mind, when the mind is involved in that karma, in that activity. Okay. When actions of those, then I'll present another different view or another effect which is pertinent to our discussion today, and which is that whenever these actions are occurring where the mind is involved, voluntarily or involuntarily. What do you mean by voluntarily? Mind has decided to do and it is going and doing it. We are executing something. Involuntarily is you are there, but suddenly something comes and happens to you. Like you're going and driving on the road, suddenly suppose an accident happens to you. You did not plan your accident, it happened to you. But when the accident is happening, your mind is engaged in going through whatever that happens to you at that time. Okay, I call that involuntary action. Okay, so there are voluntary and involuntary actions that occur. When these mind-based karmas or actions are occurring, they'll leave behind an imprint, a residue in our subconscious. It's like a photograph taken and put it into the subconscious, or whatever that is. Okay. These are called in Sanskrit vasanas. Vasana actually means smell. And the example kind of they tend to give it to you is like if you're in a house, you cook a food and all that stuff, which your favorite food and so on. But after you clean up everything, the food is all put away or taken away or finished and everything else, no remnant of the food is left behind. But yet a person walking in at that time can still smell that aroma around. That is a vasana. Similarly here, this karma imprints, this karma residue, this karma things which imprinted into your subconscious are like that. They are called vasanas. They use the word chitta for that. Chitta is the memory part of our inner instrument. Inner instrument has got 4 components, which is mind, manas, buddhi, ahankar, and chitta. And that's what the Yoga Sutras also will tell you. Though the chitta is that memory portion of it, and that's where they are. These vasanas are. Okay. So these vasanas. Now these vasanas, once they are imprinted in us, and then we accumulate all these vasanas over our lifetime and then over our lifetimes, because whatever gets imprinted, when our physical body death occurs, there is subtle body which does not die, which carries over. That subtle body has all these vasanas in it. Okay, so that is carrying over. So those past vasanas all put together gives us what we call our personality or our nature, inborn nature in this life when we are born. Okay, so your personality, your character, which comes to you, and that is very unique. Even identical twins have different personalities because the vasana bundle which they are carrying with them is only that portion of vasana is getting manifested in this life. The rest may be sitting and waiting to be manifested in some other lives, if it is not all done. Okay, so that set gives them that personality or that character. Okay, so we say Okay. That personality and nature of each individual. Now, each individual has got the vasanas. Vasanas are imprinted in our subconscious. Only way for the vasana to go is it need to come to the surface and then need to be worked out. Okay? And please follow my words as I'm saying it. It has to come back to your mind again. It is, although in subconscious, which you don't know it is sitting there. If I ask any one of you what are your vasanas, you will not be able to point out. Nobody can point out because they use the word avyaktam, they are unmanifest state. And we don't know we cannot know unmanifest state. So it is avyaktam in you, in each one of us. But in order for them to work out, it has to rise up to the mind and then work it out. When you're working it out, since we said that the action is thought, word, and deed, even if you work it out in your own mind, it is still an action occurring, activity occurring, and it is getting worked out. Okay? And all these vasanas, only way they exit out of you is by working out. Okay? In the process of working out, like I am in this life, I am here, and one of my vasanas arose in my mind. It comes as a thought to you. And thought will result in whatever you do, whatever you react to it, you execute it, you say it, whatever you do to it. Now you commit performing actions, karmas with it. So vasana has led to karmas. Okay? How we handle those karmas in that life, there are two ways you can handle it, actually three ways. One is we either make that vasana more strong, and by making it more strong, it is pushed back right into our subconscious system. Okay? We can react negatively to that vasana. And by reacting negatively to that vasana, committing a action and a karma which is generating a new vasana. That new vasana also goes into your subconscious. Now, the third one is you can work out the vasana amicably, nicely, so it leaves you and does not leave any residue. So there are three paths it can do that. Okay? And a lot of us, when we don't understand this, we are just reacting normally, whatever our nature tells us reacts, makes us do it, whatever our personalities, we do that one. What happens is many of us are creating new vasanas. When we are working out the old vasanas, that vasana may get worked out, but in the process we are generating new vasanas. So we are adding to our vasana baggage. So this vasana goes to karma, and karma may end up in vasana, which vasana has to become karma again, and that cycle goes on perpetually. And Vedanta tells us as long as there is vasanas in us, you are subjected to birth and rebirth cycle. You're going to continue to go through that. How long? Till it is worked out. It may be eons, millions of births, doesn't matter, till it is worked out. Okay, all living creatures. Now, also Vedanta says liberation is only when all these vasanas are exhausted, totally cleared out. And I'll talk a little bit more about it later. All living beings, other than human beings, live their nature. They don't have what we call a intention and a volition like a human does. So they just live their nature and work out those vasanas. But when it comes to humans are given a choice. And that choice is either choose a path at every juncture. Everything that comes into your life, there's always a choice between either choosing God or choosing world, they say. That's what Swami said one time. What does that mean? Choosing world means it is more binding. Okay, the choice that you made is going to bind you, which means it generates new vasanas and it puts you in your vasana baggage. If you choose God, It means that you're working out that vasana and you're getting that vasana get out, which means that eventually it will take you to God. Because you have to work out all one after one after one after another. Eventually, when all the vasanas are worked out, then you get to the state what they call the liberation state. Okay. Now, exercising this choice is given to the human. That's where our buddhi comes in. That's where our discriminating intellect comes in. Either we chose which is pleasant in the short term, or you chose which is good for you but unpleasant or difficult in the short term. Okay? That is the way we choose the life and the world, world and God. Okay. While we are going through, there is another concept. I'll state it up here, and then we may touch upon it again. Is the concept of what you call sin and merit. That is pap or punya. These karmas, which are bad, I'll define what bad karmas are later. Bad karmas give you sin. You're accumulating sin. When good karmas you do, you're accumulating merit. In Yoga Vasishta, this is a little background we need also. In Yoga Vasishta, there is a question that is asked, what happens to Jiva? Jiva is the individualized soul after death. And then Yoga Vasishta at that time says, the Jivas are divided into sinners and the righteous, the good people who did good deeds, people who sinned. Among the sinners, there are three groups it talks about: the worst sinners, the middle sinners, and the light sinners. Same way, among the people who are righteous and did the good, you got the best of them, and then you got the middle, and the people who did little bit good. Okay? It says the jiva, the individualized soul, the worst sinners go to hell. Go to hell means they go to a level of consciousness where they suffer a lot. Considerable amount of suffering, and after that they get born into countless living species, unheard of, unknown species, because according to that it says there are 8.4 million species. So they go to a lot of many species like that, and for them getting back to human birth, it takes quite a long time, very long time. The middle sinners, on the other hand, they suffer too, but not like the other ones. They are born as worms. They are born as animals. After hundreds and thousands of births, they'll come back to the level of human again. In the light sinners, it says they'll soon be reborn as animals. Now, coming to the righteous, it talks about the best of them. What happens to them? They go to heaven, which means they rise to a level of consciousness where they are very enjoying it for a long time, considerable amount of time. And when that merit or when that enjoyment comes to a conclusion, because it's all earned by merit, good work, and when the good work gets exhausted, you're spending it basically. It's like spending money you got, you're spending it. And once that spending money is spent, the enjoyment is over, they're born back into human life. And they're born into affluent families. And the middle ones, they enjoy and they reborn into what they call Brahmanas, which are people who are more on the righteous path. Those are the right Brahmanas, not necessarily what we call the caste Brahmana. Okay. And the light ones, they are soon reborn. Not necessarily they go through this great enjoyment or happiness states and all that stuff. Okay. So those are the three levels. That's the way it divides the sinners and the people who are virtuous. Now go next slide. Okay. With that as the background, we talked about karma and all, and we talked about vasanas. We talked about what happens, sin and merit, and we talked about what happens to those people when they pass away. Okay. Now we'll come to, that is basically the background upon which what we're going to talk about is built. Now let's move on to what is Dharma. Dharma is nature's plan. It consists of rules of good behavior and attitudes, the moral, ethical, obligatory duties towards society and towards oneself, both of them. And this plan is twofold. One is, this nature's plan is, one is to keep creation, world, and societies in harmony. And the second one is, and at the individual level, it is the plan to work out that individual's vasanas. And it is a very highly integrated together, that all these individuals who come into this world and come into this life to work out their vasanas, and putting all of them together, this creation is all around it. At the same time, the Dharma need to do that as well as maintain harmony in society. Okay? Creation, world, and society. That's what basically Dharma is to do. Dharma is created for that to do. Okay? And one way to understand is Dharma, like we talk about 4 yugas: Sat Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. We have been in Kali Yuga. They say we recently crossed over to Sat Yuga. Okay. Now in these yugas, the way they explain the yugas, what is the difference between one yuga and the other yuga? They say in the time of Sat Yuga, Dharma was walking on 4 feet. If you think of it as a quadruped, Dharma was walking on all the 4 feet. But when Lord Rama's time, which is Treta Yuga, came, Dharma was down to 3 feet, because the demons and Rakshasas out in the forests and everything were plundering and creating a lot of havoc. Okay. And he came to eliminate them. Then by the time Lord Krishna came, Dharma was walking on 2 feet only, because by that time, adharma means sinful. Actually, not following Dharma is really creating sin. But not following Dharma has not only stayed outside in the forests as demons and the Rakshasas and so forth, but now it's entered into the family. Because in the same that Kaurava families, there was Pandavas 5 and the Kauravas 100. The Kauravas 100 basically were not following Dharma, violating Dharma, whereas Pandavas were following Dharma. Okay? So they say Dharma was walking on 2 legs at that time. But in Kali Yuga, they say Dharma is literally limping on 1 leg. This is the time you'll see in the Kali Yuga the rampant, not following Dharma, not following rules, violation of rules, violence, every kind of a thing you can think of happens at this time. They plunder nature, because we're talking of a creation, which ecosystem is included in the creation. They do all those things. So that is another good way to understand what Dharma is, how it holds up the society. Okay. So that is the parts of Dharma. And you accrue sin when you don't follow Dharma, and you accrue merit when you follow Dharma. Now, this is important to our topic today, where I'm going to relate it all connected back again. Okay. What is in Dharma? Now, we so far talked about what Dharma does, what Dharma is meant to do. Okay. Now, there are 3 main things in them. We call them mandatory 5 yajnas. We're going to detail later. And then there is ashram dharma. What is ashram dharma? It is our individual life stages. Human life goes through 4 stages it talks about. And what are the duties in that? The moral, ethical, obligatory duties one has. Varna dharma is related to a division made in the personalities of human beings. And it talks about Varna-based dharma. So there are 3 kinds of dharmas we have. One is obligatory duties, which are debts, we call them. We owe it to them. And the other 2 are really your stage in life. your position in life and your stage in life. Those determine that, the other two. In mandatory 5 yajnas, there is, I'll read them off first and I'll explain. Pitra yajna, Deva yajna, Rishi yajna, Manushya or Atiti yajna, and Bhuta yajna. The Pitra yajna, which is listed up here, is the one which is towards our parents and to our forefathers. These are the, like, our parents gave our human body and sustained us till we became independent, able to stand on our own 2 legs. So we have an obligation to them, obligation to take care of them, work with them lovingly, and so on. They not only do that one, they go to one generation before that also, their grandparents, because most of us have seen our grandparents, and most of us have fond memories of grandparents who took care of them when they were little. Okay, so we owe, that's a debt. We need to pay that. That's why it's also called yajna, means sacrifice. You need to sacrifice for that, to take care of them. That's Pitra yajna. Deva yajna is there. Deva yajna is because we are given a mind, we are given an intellect which is working properly, which is we are given bodies, we are given physical bodies, we are given senses. See, none of us have designed it. None of us really can say that. Even our parents cannot say that one. These senses, and they're all properly functioning and everything else, and their ongoing functionality and so on. These are all given to us by devas. Devas means these are the individual deities who are prescribed in the Sanatana Dharma as the presiding deities for various of these functions. Like for the deity, for the intellect, we call Ganesha is the deity. For senses, Indriyas they call it, Lord Indra is the deity. His name is Indra, that's why. And so on, other deities are there. Like Saraswati is the speech, because all of us have this ability to speak, and some people have great, enormous oratory capability and all that. This is all blessings of that. Okay, so we owe it to them. And how do we do that one? We do all those getting connected to them, doing their worship and offering them oblations. And what do they expect us? They expect us to do, use those things they gave us, those things they are monitoring, for the right and proper use. Use the senses for the right and proper use, not for the wrong things. That's when you do that one, you are fulfilling that debt. Then comes Rishi Yajna. Rishi Yajna is basically all the rishis who put in great amount of effort with their spiritual growth and so on, and brought down all those scriptures. And when you engage in scriptural understanding, or attend satsangs and try to understand them and read them, you're fulfilling that debt. Manushya Atithi is a guest, and people, Manushya is a human. You're because nobody can live independent of them. We cannot live without other people. I cannot weave my clothes, I cannot cut my hair, I cannot do my dentistry work, I cannot take care of my health. I need somebody to do it for me. All those things. I can do some things myself. So we are drawing upon them for the sustenance of this thing. So you have an obligation towards those, and that need to be fulfilled. And the last one is Bhuta Yajna, is the ecosystem, and the ecosystem is sustaining us. And you need to have that ecosystem we need to work with ecosystem with great degree of unselfishness. The reason ecosystem gets plundered or misused is it's our selfish motives which do that. So scriptures tell you that if you are unselfish towards that, then you'll be fulfilling that, because you are taking care of the animals, taking care of the plants, taking care of the air, taking care of the water, and that kind of stuff. Because they are sustaining us, and we owe it to them to maintain that. So those are 5 debts one needs to pay when they get the human body. Then there is ashram dharmas. Every person goes to the stage of a bachelorhood or a studenthood. Then they become a grahastha. Grahastha is a householder. He's up and independent, earning, and becomes a householder. Then vanaprastha is the person who become a renunciate at that time, or getting into, or who has become a renunciate totally. And sannyasa is shedding everything. That is the last stage, which is our old age, basically, when you're real. At the time of death, everybody has to become a sannyasi anyway, because you leave everything you have behind you. That's real sannyasa, but that is forcible sannyasa. One who does it voluntarily, knowingly ahead of time is real sannyas. Okay. Now then there are varna dharmas. Varna dharma, varna means caste. Now this is the most misunderstood one about Sanatan Dharma. And everybody badmouths it. Everybody I know under the sun badmouths it. But it's total misunderstanding why they do that. Here I'll tell you two, because I want you to understand it very clearly, know it very clearly. And I'm going to take a little longer time and tell you two stories to go along with it. Okay. Actually, I don't know if in most of the Sai devotees have heard of her or know her, is Rita Bruce, Rita and Robert Bruce, husband and wife. They were Swami devotees who came to Swami in the 70s, 60s and 70s. These are those early batches of Westerners who came, very early batches, like John Hislop and varieties of other people were there at that time. So these are those people at that time. And Rita actually is a Catholic Christian, grew up in Missouri, and I think it was in St. Louis. Both Robert and Rita both come from St. Louis, Missouri, I think. She started having her inner voice when she was a housewife in 60s, late 60s or something. That's where she didn't know it was speaking to her, but that inner voice speaking to her, and she was getting a lot of understanding and guidance and all that at that time. And in that process, she was going through understanding human personalities and ways of communication and how they react. And she was, whatever reason, she got quite deeply into that one. Then later on, she came to Swami and all. Then she understood that it was Swami who was speaking to her and all. And then it was in the line. She was sitting in the darshan line in Puttaparthi. And by that time, all her understanding which she gained and everything, she wrote a manuscript. And the manuscript was with her. And she was sitting in the darshan line, and Swami was walking by, and people who have been there who know that they know that Swami just walks by, giving darshan to all the devotees who sit in the darshan hall there. While passing by, she suddenly found in her manuscript. Now, usually people who go to the darshan line, they know they cannot take anything inside. She's allowed to take a manuscript with her because when she was told it was early devotee, she knew a lot of people, and also at the same time, it was. She had to get it blessed by Swami, is why she sat there with that manuscript. In that manuscript, this thing appeared. I don't know if you can see it or not. This is a clove in my hand. We call it in Hindi lavang. A clove appeared in the book. And Rita, while she saw that one, she picked it up and was wondering where did that come from. Then the inner voice, Swami started talking to her. Now, Swami is walking by doing his things. But meanwhile, that inner voice is talking to her. That is Swami talking to her. And it said the following. And I'm going to read it to you. Okay? Clove. This is a clove. The stem of the clove is symbolic of the root. The divine source of all energy, which is God. So the stem is the root, all energy, representing energy, which is God. This root source splits into 4 prongs. You can see 4 prongs on this one. Okay. This root source splits into 4 prongs that represent the 4 energies, 4 pillars, 4 corners on which the world sits. Okay. The round ball in the middle of the cloud, right in the middle of the cloud, I don't know if you can see this one, round ball. Round ball in the middle of the cloud is symbolic of the world. These 4 energies support the world, which are coming from the divine, that single energy, prana or whatever. The very meaning of the word cloud is see love. Now, Swami is breaking up the spelling. He's taking C out of it. He's calling it see love. It means conscious love. That's what he said. This cloud is symbolic of the knowledge that you will write about. That's what he said to her. Then she put together the whole thing and wrote a book, and it got published. And the book's name is Love of Conscience. Not conscious, but conscience. Okay? Everybody has the conscience. The inner one who's needling you when you're doing something wrong, that love of conscience. She wrote that book, and you can Google it and find out too if you want. Now there is a little nice story I'm going to write about it. I'm going to relate to you, which is connected with all this. Now Rita and I got connected with through different people, through Ted Henry and Jody Clary, who used to do this soul journeys. That's how we got to know Rita and Robert Bruce. And then we used to get together periodically, once or twice we did. And at that time, for whatever reason, I don't know how, but Rita kept asking me to come work on this book which he has, which consists of this, what do you call, love of conscience, which talks about this one energy, which is splitting into the four energies, separate energies, which are four pillars supporting that. This whole concept and idea which is there, how does it dovetail with Vedas or Vedic knowledge? That's what she wanted to know. And for whatever reason, she thought I could do it. I don't know why she thought, but anyway, she did it. So she was asking me to come visit her. Now, by that time, prior to that one, about a few months prior and all that one, I got connected to somebody Swami got me to connected to, and that person has inner voice, just like Shivangini did, and Rita Bruce did. And that person lives in Nasik in Maharashtra. And I visited the person and all that stuff. And this is in 2013. Okay, 2013. Rita is asking me to come to her place so that we can work together on that, trying to see where the connectivity is between her book called Love of Conscience and Vedic knowledge. So I was talking to this girl. She knows, she has connection and all that one. Then here, and she doesn't know what I'm doing in USA. And I come here, and then when Rita invited, I went over there. It was in April of 2013. I was in their home at that time. I was reading and going through that, trying to see what does this say, what does Gita say about Varna system and all that one. And while I was going through there, suddenly I get this WhatsApp message from this person in Nasik. And she writes in Urdu, she knows Hindi and Urdu. She writes, she says, Janab, Swami आपके बारे में बात कर रहे थे. And I'll translate it. Okay, it's interesting. स्वामी आपके बारे में बात कर रहे थे. वो कह रहे थे कि ज्ञानी अभी तो वैदिक स्कॉलर बन गया, and he was bursting out laughing. खूब हंस रहे थे, आपकी मजाक उड़ा रहे थे. That's what she wrote. I didn't understand what she's talking about. What is this Vedic scholar business, So what it said is, she said, sir, Swami was talking to me, and he was telling me that Gyani has become a Vedic scholar now, and burst out laughing, it seems. Swami. I didn't know. So I told Rita, I said, Rita, this person I know. And she said, Swami is saying this. Because Rita understands when I say Swami is saying this. He says, you know what? Before you came, before I went to her place, before I came there, she was out with her girlfriends for lunch. And while she was at lunch, she was mentioning to them that she has somebody who's visiting her. And these are all Western white Americans. So, and they asked her, who is that person visiting? And she knew that they wouldn't understand if she says something about the Sanatan Dharma or Hindu aspects, So instead, she told them that, oh, he's a Vedic scholar. All of us had a good laugh. But anyway, since I was there, I was trying to get them together. And I wrote a 4-page or 5-page paper on it, actually. I sent it to her. I said, this is what I could find. I can understand, I can put it together. And I took a small portion out of that. And I'm going to read that to you. As Swami said to Rita, human nature is one energy with 4 aspects. physical, emotional, intellect, discrimination. Here, Rita uses intellect word for mind. Okay, discrimination for buddhi. Emotion is emotions. Physical is body. Physical is really referring to senses, body and senses. Okay, so physical, emotional, intellect, and discrimination. Although all of us are equipped with all the four energy aspects, because each one of us have it, right? Each of us is programmed to have one of these as primary energy. I'll stop here and give my explanation. Some are very emotional people. Some are very highly intellectual people, very indrawn people. Some are happy-go-lucky, just go there and do some work and have fun and come back, right? We see all kinds of people in there. So that's basically what it's talking about. It is one of these as primary energy, but all of them are all the four energies. Okay. As we examine further, we will note that this program aligns with the division of activities that is essential for the harmonious functioning of each and every society. Here, when I say each and every society, it's not necessarily Hindus or it's not necessarily Indians. Any society. For the harmonious function, this division of activities based on this predominance of which of these aspects, which is emotional, physical, intellectual, and discriminating, which is expected, is necessary. Okay. The four aspects of energy, physical, emotional, intellect, and discrimination, and its association with the appropriate duties or work are called Varna system. And Bhagwan Krishna says in chapter 4, verse number 13, he says, Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam Gunakarma Vibhagasaha. Chaturvarnyam means four Varnas. Maya Srishtam, I created them. Guna and Karma. Vibhagasaha means using that as division, dividing force. Based on gunas, based on karmas, I have created four varnas. That's what Lord Krishna said. Okay. This system is programmed so as to match to the roles and activities that are essential for the harmonious functioning of all societies, as outlined in Bhagavad Gita. And some of the examples, now that's a part of what I wrote and gave it. It was about 4 pages long and all that stuff. But what it is in today's world, how we can look at it, these four types are creative thinkers, think tanks, teachers, scholars, priests, gurus, and swamijis. These are all into the what they call one class. These are called Brahmanas. The other ones is the politicians, lawmakers, police, military. These are the people who not only are looking after the benevolence of the society they are managing, they are supposed to managing and maintaining law and order in there so that the society can function smoothly. These Kshatriyas fall in, Kshatriya, they come under Kshatriya class. The commercial employers, all the people who have got the small businesses and this and corporations and everything else, plus people who provide services like lawyers, doctors, accountants, etc., etc. All of this comes into the Vaishya class, they call it, according to the way Bhagavad Gita defines Vaishyas. And then there are the laborers, the people who provide the labor to do the work, the proletarians. They sell their labor and independence, and also people who take bribes. They fall into the Shudras. The reason the people who take bribes, they fall into that is they're giving up their independence by taking the money. Now, because they took the bribe, they have to fulfill that need. So anyone in anywhere takes that, they fall into Shudra class. Okay, that's how it divides it for you. Now, this is all the explanation I did for you to understand Varnas, Chatur Varnas, the four Brahmana, Kshatriyas, and the Vaishyas in that one. These are broad classes. Think of it in terms of people who are more driven by body, more driven by mind, more driven by intellect, and more driven by discrimination. No, emotion, sorry. More driven by emotion and discrimination. Intellect, I use the word, it is really mind they're referring to. So only think of it, these are people who are predominantly that quality exhibiting in them, instead of thinking the caste system in India. Okay? That is only a, what you call, a methodology that try to employ so that they can easily administrate it, but then it didn't work, of course. So now these are the dharmas I talked about. What is in dharma? We talked about 5 obligatory duties. Then we talk about the age, the stage in life, either whether you are a student or a householder or that thing you have, and then you have this varna based thing. Okay, when we do dharma properly, punya, merit will come. Again, depending on how well you do it, how well means how lovingly, how harmoniously you have executed that dharma. Like suppose I have obligatory duties to somebody. I can be sulking about it and do that work, or I can be doing it lovingly. So that's going to differentiate again. Which are the people who earn the merit more? Okay, these are the ones which we talked about earlier. Yoga Vasishta talking about the 6, the soul going through, whether they are good, the righteous, or the other one. If they are righteous and if they're very advanced in that one, a good one, they get to that higher thing. So those are the ones that get that. And if you not follow dharma, that is sin, pap. Okay. And counter to dharma, opposite to dharma. Dharma says be peaceful, do not harm others, and you go ahead and kill people and be harmful to others. They're obviously totally adharmic. Then in 2014, this is all my journey going on, my quest going on. Okay. And in 2014, we were with Swami at that time. Swami told us, which educated us something more about this seva activities. A lot of us do seva. All the Sai centers, everybody seva, and many people do seva activity. Seva means service to others. Okay? Service to others is done. Now, Swami on that day, he told us, and he took it from there. He says, karma with expectations, expectation of fruit is binding. Karma done without expecting the fruit is not binding and elevating. And this not expecting fruit, karma is called anapeksha karma. Okay? In both of these karmas, because this is done for the welfare of others, right? In both of these karmas, it is only fulfilling the desires of others and their bodies, actions performed with a good desire. Good desire means satsankalpa, with good motive. Actions done with a good motive to help others, that is to give peace to the suffering, giving relief to their bodies, satisfying their physical needs to make them happy, can be considered as good deeds called satkarmas. Okay? But among these, anapeksha karma, which is the one which is done totally without any selfish motive at all. Not looking at the fruit at all. That begets, Swami said, grace, krupa. And while saying this one, Swami gave a story, and I'll tell you that so that you'll remember it. He talked about a farmer who was doing leafy vegetable planting and all that one, and he had a bountiful crop. And he had a lot of excess seeds, leafy vegetable seeds. And he had a lot of excess seeds, and he thought he'll help all other people who are other farmers who are up there. So he goes out and distributes on his own volition without expecting anything back, without asking for any selling it or asking for any other barter remuneration back. He goes out and distributes it to all of them there. Then after that, he passes away, whatever in the normal course of time. Then he becomes a king in the next life. And that king is given a little bit memory of the past. So that king, when he became king, he knew that he became a king because he did that selflessly, giving things to others. Okay? So what he did with that knowledge? He did doing a lot of selfless activities in this life, in this kingly life. Lots and lot of vitamin, left and right. I mean, as a farmer, he could only give you whatever excess seeds he had, he could give it. But now he's a king, so he did enormous level of thing. The reason he did all that is he knew that what that got him when he did that. So he thought if he'll do all this, he wants to see what it'll get him. And maybe like an emperorship or something, Not sure. I mean, so I did say that. Then in the next life, he was born as an ordinary farmer. And Swami says the first one he did without any selfish motive. Even though he did hundreds of thousands of times more than the first one, but these are with selfish motive. Because he thought that something better will come to him. So he became an ordinary farmer. Now, that is still a good thing. There's nothing bad with that. He still had a human birth. Remember when we talked about that souls? It's not a bad thing that he's going to go back to animal life or what life or whatever. No, he came to a human life. It's in there. So Swami kind of made a point. That's how he told us about it and made us understand that. So I wanted to share that with all of you. So based on all this which we discussed so far, so what Swami meant in 2004 about those three things, Dharma, Sadhana, and maintenance. My effort with Shivangini was, number one, I was fulfilling Deva Yajna and Rishi Yajna. And number two, I was doing Satkarma, Atithi Yajna. Both of these fall under Dharma. But they are not sadhana for liberation. And I would like to pause here a minute. All of us who are listening to this one, think about what I said. And you need to assess yourself. If you're engaged in any activities, you need to do your self-assessment. What is that? What is your goal? Or what is our goal? Does your efforts match your goal? Does it match up to it? Are you doing the thing? And are you doing the right things? Are you in any kind of a misunderstanding, thinking that you're doing spiritual sadhana, like I misunderstood? That I thought I was doing spiritual sadhana. I was meditating too at that time. I thought I was doing spiritual sadhana. But Swami says, no, that was dharma you were doing. Right? So each of you need to self-assess. And interestingly, I'll tell you one thing. I was in meditation before this thing, and this thought occurred to me at that time. When I came to this point, I said, should I be stressing this point to people? Just the thought crossed through my mind. And at that time, Hanumanji says, 100%. I need to stress this to all the people. Swami, now go next slide. Now go next slide. Okay. Now we are talking about spiritual sadhana. What is spiritual sadhana? For sadhana, it is absolutely necessary to lead a discipline and devotion sanctified life with control over the senses and mind. And basically, if you want to say in other words, to get your senses and your mind under control, that is sadhana. That is your inner journey, because senses belong to you, mind is inside you, and you're turning inward, and you're working on them, and you're getting them under control. If you can ably do that, then you get there. Okay. So what sadhana to do? Now it depends on your personality. It depends on your inclination. It depends on your liking. For bhakti path, there is 9-step devotion. I listed all of them. Shravanam is listening. Kirtanam is singing glory of God. Vishnu Nama Smaranam is japa, speaking, thinking of Vishnu and all that. Pada Sevanam, doing serving the feet of the Lord. That's what it's called, but not necessarily doing it in the temple. If we serve other human beings also, so God thinks that you are serving God. Archana, we do to the temple and do that. Vandana, and there is Dasyam. This is you are a servant of Lord, like Hanuman was servant of Lord Rama. Sneham, friendship. Kuchela was a friend of Krishna. Arjuna was a friend of Krishna. So that is Sneham. Then there is Atmanivedana. Okay. Now, if you go to the yoga path, if you're the type who's more inclined to sitting down, closing your eyes and doing nothing, as they call it, but whatever, if you're that type, you can go there. There is Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. Okay. I'll go a little bit into the, not into the details, because you can read up on any literature over there. In the Jnana path, there is the prerequisites. There are 4 prerequisites. Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti, Mumukshatva. Which is Viveka is discrimination, Vairagya is detachment, Shat Sampatti, well, I'll give it later. And then there is Mumukshatvam, is a keen desire for liberation. These are prerequisites for Jnana path. Okay? And what is the process you do? You do the Shat Sampatti. And how do you get there? Shat Sampatti is Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadha. Okay? These are Shama and Dhamma and Yama, Niyama of yoga are pretty similar to each other. They are controlling your mind, going outward towards all the objects and the things. Then the other was is not letting your senses getting exposed to them. That is withdrawing from them. Not really kind of keep your senses engaged in that one and trying to control it doesn't work. Okay? Because it's going to keep dragging you out. Okay? So Yama Niyam are the first steps they talk about, or Shama Dhamma and Jnana path they talk about. Uparati and Pratyahara are one and the same, which is withdrawal of your senses, which means that even though you're not going out, even though you've controlled your senses, suppose something comes and falls on it, you're exposed to it without your control, you're forced into it. Okay? At that time, the ability to withdraw your senses, withdraw your mind from it, that is called Pratyahara. Okay? That is also called Uparati. Then Titiksha is forbearance, Shraddha is unwavering faith in scriptures, in Guru, in God. Now, in the karma path also there is the selfless activities which talk about arpana, prasada, tyaga, akartrutva. I'll tell you what, this is only the final ones. In all the 4 of them, the final goal is only one, which is surrender. Okay? Surrendering, that is Sharanagati. Get to there. And if you look at the last step of Bhakti path is Atmanivedanam. Atmanivedanam is offering your mind to God. That is the last one. You need to ascend all the 8 steps to get there. It's not that easy to do. That's why. In the yoga path, you're working through all of this, you come to Samadhi, is the final stage. What is Samadhi? Going beyond mind is Samadhi. When you are Sahaja Samadhi, you're always in that state. In Jnana path, when you look into the Shat Sampatti, you got the Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, and Samadhana. Samadhana is constant contemplation and immersion in reality. That is pure consciousness itself. And in karma path, when you go there, when you do the selfless activities, you are evolving. And what is evolving? Your intelligence, your discriminating intellect is evolving. You go through Arpana Buddhi, which evolves into Prasada Buddhi, which evolves into Tyaga Buddhi, then finally it evolves into Akartrutva Buddhi. Akartrutva Buddhi, Samadhana of Jnana, Samadhi of Yoga, Atmanivedana of Bhakti, all are one and the same. Okay? So in all the 4 paths, now which one to take? Take the one you like. Only thing is, Swami says, start early, drive slowly, reach safely, go on a 4-wheel drive, do devotion, selfless service, scripture reading and listening, and meditation. And let that evolve into your own personal custom combination, which fits you the best. See, remember we talked about all the vasanas need to be worked out and so forth. That's our personality. And Gita says we have come into this life to work out those vasanas. Our nature, work out our nature. Your nature will give you that custom combination. Follow that custom combination. Everybody doesn't have to follow somebody else's, How much to do? How much sadhana to do? Depends on, first and foremost, it depends on the goal. And it also depends on how much baggage you're carrying, that is vasanas you're carrying with you. Some people seem to be very nice and calm and not much have disturbed or whatever. And some people are effervescent, They're like bubbles bouncing around. So it depends on the baggage, how much you carry with you. But one thing to remember is no matter whatever state you are in, whatever place you are in, whatever sadhana you do, that sadhana carries over to the next life. Just like we talk about vasanas, this sadhana become that part of that. This is called a good vasana. And that good vasana will carry over with you. Swami says about sadhana, pure heart is the essence of all sadhanas. But I'll caution you one thing, be careful about what it means by pure heart. Don't get misled the way I got misled thinking that what I was doing is spiritual sadhana. Now who knows whether you're pure or not? A guru knows. Gurus are trained to know that. Okay. Now go next slide. Okay. Now we come to where sadhana, we talked about it. What are the things we need to, which are the ones, which one must do and all that one to controlling and everything else. Swadharma, this is done in the stage when you are a householder. According to the scriptures will direct you that one. That's what Swami told us. Anjaneya Hanumanji told that is in the householder stage it is to be done. Okay. In this stage, what do you do? First and foremost, you must do dharma. You cannot bypass dharma. Okay, the early part I mentioned. And in this householder stage, typically we are pursuing prosperity and we are fulfilling our desires. But they should be done within the boundaries of dharma. Okay? And all the obligatory 5 yajnas and the varna and ashrama dharmas have to be followed out so that we can work out our vasanas. Okay? Gita commentators' advice. Now I'll keep using the word Gita commentators because slightly when it comes to it, the emphasis laid by Hanumanji and Swami are a little different. And I'm going to point that out. Actually, the difference is one of the reasons why this whole thing got triggered, which we are doing today. Gita commentators advise that not to deviate from nature's course. That is, whatever you have come with, the equipment of vasanas which are manifesting in this life, don't deviate from that one, it says. Why? Because that is the nature's plan to work out your vasanas. Your position, your situation will suit that. That's why you're put in that position, you're given that situation. Okay? They talk about that. Because it's to work out your nature's course. But while doing that one, you can always improve on it. One can divinize that work. This Swami Bhagwan wrote. And I picked that one up. Doing someone else's dharma, they advise you not to. It is going to be harmful. The reason is that dharma is designed for that person's vasanas to work out. And if you pick up that person's work, your vasanas are not getting worked out. And they won't go anywhere. As I said earlier, they have to come to the surface and come out. That's the only way out. Okay? So you're not letting them manifest in this life. They'll have to manifest some other life. Okay? Rebirth will be kind of driven onto you at that time. Now here Swami emphasizes what he calls, in this Swadharma, there is Atma Dharma. What is Atma Dharma? Transforming ourselves, uplifting ourselves. All our daily acts and activities, we need to divinize them. We need to utilize what Sanatan Dharma has told us, what they are called the eternal values are, the Sathya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Ahimsa. Those things need to be incorporated while you're going through the stage of the household. that practicing the human values. Also, one must know about oneself. This is basically you're talking about entire this inquiry about who am I. Your inner instrument needs to be cleansed entirely. This is, if you come the yoga path, this is called chitta vritti nirodha. That's when your inner instrument is totally clean. When no more vrittis are there in your head. Okay? So it's cleaned, and consider once you get to the stage, you'll rise to a stage where everything and everyone is your own. You don't see the differences. You may see the differences, but you think of them as your own. Okay? That will make you eligible, Hanumanji says, this Atma Dharma. If you don't do it, it is deceiving the Atma. They clearly state that statement. So here, now later on I'll summarize what this is, okay? Then after that we go into Paradharma. Paradharma is Gita commentators limited to someone else's dharma. It's somebody else's dharma is called Paradharma, right? That's how they say it. And it says that it's not helpful to cleanse your vasanas because you're working out somebody else's vasanas when you go there. And it might lead to another birth. That's where Gita commentators have left it. Now, both Swami and Hanumanji independently, that is, Swami told us in 2014, and Hanumanji told when I was translating all his messages in 2018, he gave that message. Independently, he guided us as follows. And I'll read it to you, and I think it's up in there, you can read it too. Paradharma means sharing essence of one's experience in a responsible way. To limit one's experience to oneself becomes a crime. Lack of responsibility. One gets everything from society, and it is our minimum duty to provide our share of spiritual service to the society. And note the word spiritual service is used here. Spiritual service to the society. Else it becomes a negative karma. Once preaching, that is, people who are doing this preaching or sharing or whatever, should be of the essence of one's experience only, their anubhava. And I asked him this question, do you want me to share or not? I will tell you what is that. Okay. Excellent karma phala results one gets by preaching. One's preaching should be of the essence of one's experience. Excellent karma phala one gets by attaining experience and sharing it with the world becomes their wealth. This must occur in vanaprastha stage, that is the renunciation stage. That is after passing from householder into renunciation. That is what one must do. This meritorious wealth, he called it Punya Sampada, is called Raja Yoga. And I'm not, we hear Raja Yoga and all, we talk about Patanjali's yoga is called Raja Yoga, but no, Swami calls this one Raja Yoga. Satsai Baba said this one, Raja Yoga. The reason he calls it Raja Yoga is in this stage, when you're doing this work, he says the results, the phala, the excellent karma phala is accumulated when they are helping others spiritually. And when you keep on doing it, it accumulates and makes you have so much of accumulation. Usually people are called kings because they are the richest in that. That's why they are called the kings. That's why Swami calls this a Raja Yoga. They have accumulated so much that they are Raja Yoga yogis now. It's basically from Karma Yogi to Raja Yogi. That's what they became. Karmas melt away when Brahma Jnana is learned, practiced and experienced and shared with society. See, in all the places, sharing with society is very, very emphasized. And very rightfully too, because we said that the entire thing is to keep the society harmonious, right? Then he says one is ready for Paramadharma. Now, Paramadharma I have not come across anywhere in any books. I have read this and that lot of stuff. Nobody uses that word. And only I've seen it, Swami and Hanumanji using that. Okay, next slide, right? Nagu. Paramadharma. They use it sannyas, but Swami and Hanumanji calls it Paramadharma, sannyas, but he gives a meaning to that one. Paramadharma, that is the next stage. Now you did Swadharma, you did Paradharma, now you come to Paramadharma. What is Paramadharma? It is the highest and the most prominent of all dharmas. Okay? When you sacrifice all the sacred wealth that you have earned from Raja Yoga, forgetting all self-interest for the benefit of society, then it is called sannyasa. And that is what Paramadharma. Okay? It means letting go of everything and everyone. Again, keywords are everything and everyone. It means letting go of duality. It means an expansion. This is the state where one totally abandons the difference between the self and others. It just didn't say abandons, it totally abandons. After recognizing the jivi and the individual, body and the indweller, when one sacrifices everything, then that state is sannyasa. Paramadharma, it's called. That's our Paramadharma, to become sannyas like that. And it is also, they use the word Turiya Ashram in there. Now I understand. I used to hear these words, I never understood them before. But now it all comes together. Okay. So, summarizing, Brahmacharya, when we are a Brahmacharya, when we are not become Grahastha, any part of our life which is before we became a householder is Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is one who's moving in or steeped in Brahman. Okay, that is called Brahmacharya. Not necessarily celibacy we think of, but celibacy helps, they say. Okay. Brahmacharya, learn Brahmagyana. Householder, practice Swadharma and experience it. That is, whatever Brahmagyana you learn, practice the Brahmagyana and experience that Brahmagyana in the householder stage. And in the Vanaprastha renunciation stage, whatever experience that you have gained, selflessly start sharing with others, helping others, doing your spiritual service to the society. And that leads you to sannyas, Paramadharma, and that takes one to Mahaprasthan. I don't know, some of you may not have heard the Mahaprasthan, but in the following thing which I wrote, will tell you what that is. Hanumanji, on January 30, 2018, at 10:30 a.m., he told us this. This is the journey of human. This is your Mahaprasthan, great journey or exit from this grand master show. That is called Mahaprasthan. Great journey or exit from this grand master show. This should become the human life's highest meaning. If it happens contrarily and differently, then entire life goes off track and gets misused. Journeying inward is the permanent solution to entire problems. Therefore, making Dharma, Swadharma, Paradharma, Paramadharma as support and basis, sequentially get transformed and sanctify your lives. This is my wish and my expectation, he said. Hanumanji, on January 30, 2018, 10:30 a.m. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sairam. We can open it for questions.
Sairam.
Yeah. Okay. Speak louder.
So maybe if someone can...
Yeah, anybody, if you want to ask questions,
so if
that's fine.
Please. They can raise their hand on Google Meet, like, if you want to, not sure, many of you have multiple questions, I'm not sure. So if anyone can raise their hand on the Google Meet, it would be easy to start with someone.
Looks like not much there, but anyway, yeah, this is. I don't know about others, but this is my journey for sure. Oh, Anuradha's there. Okay. Yeah, Anuradha raised her hand. We'll
Unmute.
just the question.
Yeah.
Okay, Sairam ji.
Sairam,
I
sir.
so
Speak a little
I
louder, please.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it is the right question or not, but this question always been there in my head, so I'm just speaking it out here.
Okay.
Um, why why should, if the moksha is the ultimate, that ultimate, I don't know what it is called, ultimate thing for any life, and the Mahaprasthan.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, why should anybody should crave for moksha? If God has created me for purpose, He knows what He has created me, and He will take me in that journey. So why should I crave for moksha? So He has put me in this path, so He has all his rights, He will take care of me in this journey, whatever He want to do. So why should I try to exit this, whatever God has given purpose for me,
Right.
and mingle
Right.
into moksha?
Right. I understand. A lot of people have this question. I've come across people who have raised this kind of question before. And the answer is no, they don't have to go for moksha at all. They don't. Because then you got to go back to a couple of slides which I had, where we talk about the pap and the punya. We talk about doing dharma and not doing dharma. And then if you do dharma, and then if you do satkarma, Yoga Vasishtha says that what happens to you after you are pass away from this body, and when you pass away with good karma and all that one, you are born into, many of you don't realize. I in that one I said that all these people go to high heavens, enjoy the best of life there, and then come back into prosperous families. They're born in prosperous families. When I look around, most of us who are listening here or who are sitting in US and talking about it now, are fairly prosperous in nature, right? And when this was there, Swami made one comment actually one saying which came around. He said that if only you knew, these are his words, if only you knew how much you have done to get to this state in life which you have today. Again, if you only knew how much you have done to get to this state you have in life today, he says, you'll never waste a single moment. What that means is, today, even if you are listening to this, asking this question, raising this question, you have come to be able to come up to this stage in life and to be able to come to this far and everything else. You have done great effort into it. Right? So, in the Yoga Vasishtha, I said that if you've done a lot of good, you go to get into, born into righteous families, go into heaven, having enjoyment and suffering, a lot of enjoyment, and you come back after that one, either rich families or into righteous families if you do good things. So don't worry about moksha. Nobody is asking you to go for moksha. Moksha is not something anybody is pushing you to. Nobody is. God has put you in this place. See, God says, we use the term God has put you in this place, but we have come to work out our vasanas. Our vasanas are, God did not create them, we created ourselves by doing karma and vasana, which we talked about. Okay? So if you think you are in a very good stage and station in life, then inquire through Mahatmas or whatever on how to keep that station and stage in life so that you can come back to a similar one next. See, comeback is necessary. Where else are you going to go if you don't come back?
Mhm.
Only other place you're going to go is the only one exit door. This birth and that cycle wheel, there is only one exit door, and that is liberation. And if you don't want that exit door, no, I'm not interested in that. I like this merry-go-round wheel, by all means, stay on it. Nobody's asking you to go. Does it help you? I don't. But you can. I mean, in this life, you can stay there, go do good dharma, go do satkarma, do seva. You will continue to get good. Like that farmer became a king, right? Whatever you can become that king. It's up to you what you want to do. That's why I said, if somebody asks the question, how much sadhana to do? It depends on your goal. Your goal is not liberation. That's fine. No problem. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Rohan. Go ahead, Rohan. Oh, you're muted, Rohan. You're still muted. Yeah, Nagur, Rohan's hand is raised, but he's muted.
Rohan, can you speak up?
Oh,
Hey, can you hear me now?
Uh,
Sorry, I was.
I don't know, uncle.
now you can. I can hear you, Rohan.
Okay, yeah. So my question was that is there a way that one can experience moksha or liberation when they are alive?
Yeah, that they are called Jivan Muktas. And my spouse was one of them. My other guru was one of them. They were experiencing freedom, basically. What we call liberation is freedom. Freedom from all the bondages.
But what does that state look like?
You have to be there.
Okay.
And once you get there, nobody ever asks that question. Yeah, it's because it doesn't have characteristics. You cannot define it. It's just like God. Actually, they say when you go into the Advaita Vedanta, the Jivan Muktas, that state is a state of Turiya, that is the fourth state. We are awake, dream, and deep sleep, and the fourth state is called Turiya. They're in the state of Turiya all the time. And that is the state of Brahman. Okay?
Okay.
It is a state. You cannot read. There are no characteristics to it. If there were characteristics to that, then we will have characteristics for Brahman also.
Okay.
Okay, so non-definable basically.
Sure. Thank you.
Oh, one thing is, one other thing they say is, you will have bliss there. See, we say God is what? Sat Chit Ananda, right? Ananda is the bliss. And once people are in that state, they're all the time blissful. And that bliss has to be experienced. That is not the same thing as what we construe as happiness. Happiness is also bliss, but it's like seeing it from behind a colored screen, basically. You're not experiencing it
Thank you.
the way it is, but yeah, some modified state. Yeah. Urmila had a question, I think.
Thank you.
Yes. I want to know the paradharma, which is the grahastha dharma. When you are in the grahastha, you have duties, certain obligations towards everybody and all that. When exactly does that thing end and you take over on the swadharma? Because sometimes you feel kind of guilty that, okay, I'm only watching for myself and is this the right thing to do? But I think the swadharma takes priority over the paradharma. When exactly is the right time for this?
Yeah, actually, no. During it says that during the householder stage, you need to be practicing swadharma.
Mm-hmm.
Swadharma is basically experiencing, knowing who you are, while fulfilling the dharmas towards all the others and everything else. that you do. That's what they do there. But in our stages, the way we have been through life and all that one, it can come into the vanaprastha also. Knowing yourself, like spiritual knowledge, understanding ourselves, refining ourselves, growing and all that can come to vanaprastha stage also. So let's assume that it's vanaprastha stage we are doing, some part of Atma Dharma. Atma Dharma is shifting into here.
Right.
That Atma Dharma in the Vanaprastha they talk about, at least in the ancient times it was practiced, and here also they advise you, once your duties are over, but again, that's a funny term because I can define my duty is over at this point, and you'll say, no, not that it. You got to go further more,
Right. That's
Everybody
where
define, right?
yeah.
So, but the way they say it is, as soon as the children, because most of our thing is with the children, right?
Mhm.
The children, once they get to, usually they refer to 21 and all, but once they stand on their feet,
Mhm.
your dharma is over, according to
So,
Shastra.
so what about husband? Children are settled, everything is settled, is fine, all they're married and everything. So, is it not time for Swadharma?
See, what happens is, once you get to the state of Swadharma, you may live with the husband, but you have your own, whatever practices you do will have to take priority. And that should,
That's where okay, yes.
that should apply to him also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And another thing they say, at least the Shastra says, when you take sannyas, they say you need to get permission from the spouse to take sannyas.
Okay, okay.
The spouse got to agree to it, is what they say,
So, why is it that? Is it not against the Swadharma then? If somebody is ready for it and the other person will not give you permission?
That's because the person is not there yet, and if the person is there, they'll give the permission. But if this person is not there, then you're
Right.
still bound to it, and the system or whatever the God's plan is not allowing that.
I see. I see.
Basically, that's what I'll say. And usually, like in the case of interesting is like when I'm alive, Shivangini did all her quest and everything, reached her journey, and woof, she went away, right?
Right.
Like, now, interesting is it has cleared up the way for me.
Hmm.
See, when God's plan is there, it will work out like that.
Okay.
I mean, people will think that a lot of people will think that it is my what do you call bad luck or whatever you want to call it, but I'll say it's my good luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, that's how it is. Everything it has got two sides to everything. Okay, right.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, because if all the responsibilities are over and you think it's time for you to now take priority, like you said, there should be a priority over everything else, right? So
Definitely, even if you are with the spouse and staying there, your priority got to be
the
your
Swadharma.
growth. You knowing yourself.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yes, that answers. Thank you so much. Yeah.
All right. Anyone else? I'll do the peace prayer then. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Kaschid Dukkhabhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Thank you so much, Sairam.
Sairam.
Radhika, if you can click three buttons and the 3 points, and click manage recording, stop recording.